Hey guys, Rafi here, and today I want to go into how to craft the wands for the Kinetic Fusillade character, although these wands can also be used by any wanda who's using Trinity support in general, because, well, the elemental ones. This is the cheap craft, this is the more expensive endgame craft, and I'm gonna go into how to craft both of these in Craft of Exile in just a second. Alright, we are on Craft of Exile right now. And first things first, I want to show you how to do the cheap craft. For the cheap craft, it's very important to have the right item level, and I'm gonna show you exactly why. We do care about two stats in particular, which is the critical strike multiplier and the added flat elemental damage. And you can see for critical strike multiplier tier 1, you only need item level 73, which is very good, because it makes it pretty easy to get a good craft going for pretty cheap. And the tier 2 added elemental damage can roll at item level 74, which is very important if you don't want to do the craft with a fracture, if you think fractures are too expensive in the league that you're playing right now, or if you just, I don't know, feel unlucky with fractures in general. Alright, and now I'm gonna show you how you can craft the cheap version of the wand right here. I made a Kinetic wand, item level 74. Very important disclaimer, if you want to do the fracture version, you only want item level 73, and I'm gonna show you why after we did the first version without the fracture. I'm gonna put timestamps in the description, so if you wanna skip ahead to the fractured version, you can do so. Alright, let's get things off. You want to use the cheapest added elemental damage essence you can get. Might be anger, it might be wrath, it might be, I think it's hatred. Yeah, it might be hatred. Just go for any of these three. Just get the cheapest one. And what you want to do is, you want to roll for another flat elemental damage, and specifically tier 2. That's what you want. And I'm just gonna, for the sake of the... Oh, wait, never mind. I just wanted to say I wanted to skip to the next, just skip ahead for the sake of the video, but we hit tier 2 lightning damage, which is really good. So, you're unlucky, you hit a third prefix, now you have to clean it up. Which you do with an annul. In this league you can use the all flame to annul it off and be a bit more safe. But yeah, I'm just gonna remove it like so, just to keep the video short and clean. If you are lucky, you roll into tier 1 crit multi while you roll the essences. That's why I always advocate to craft your rare items yourself, because sometimes on some steps you do get lucky and you get a very good item for very cheap. And anyway, even if you get unlucky, you probably craft the item for cheaper if you just craft it yourself than for what you can buy it for on trade. Alright, next step. You want to get a better tier crit multi, so you want to lock prefixes. Oops. Alright, so you want to lock prefixes and go to your harvest bench and reforge critical. This guarantees either crit chance or crit multi. You really want the crit multi, but if you get crit chance, you can just craft it on with the multi mod later. It's not the worst, but you can always go again if you don't fill your item. It has a chance to fill and you have to annul. But, you know, it's PoE, baby. That's just how it goes. Alright, so you hit the reforge, and it's T6 crit multi. You don't want that, so you go again. And there we go. It's T1, actually with the same tier of fire damage. That's kind of funny. Alright. Now, the problem is you have another suffix. You don't want the other suffix. You have to go annul and pray at this point. We lost. So we just go again. At this point, you just have to do the craft over again. It is painful, but trust me, it is very well worth it. Alright, at this point the craft is done. And all you do is craft multimod. Can have multiple crafted modifiers. You craft crit chance with strength and intelligence. If I can find it, it's suffix, I guess. And strength here, crit chance, strength, intelligence, and spell damage. Oh, I guess Craft of Exile doesn't let you craft spell damage on it because it's a kinetic wand. But as you can see in PoE right here, you can definitely craft the spell damage onto the wand. Even if Craft of Exile says you cannot. I don't know why it says that. But yeah, you can definitely craft the spell damage on the wand. And it's a very good wand. That really gets you into juice T16s. And yeah, let's get into the next version. Alright, let's get into the cheaper version with the fracture. In this case, you want to fracture essence mod on your one essence mod on your item because it's a low roll T1. And on an item level 73 or 74, you cannot roll T1 mods. So you're kind of cheating the system and you're getting like 10% more damage if you want to go for this version. So you want to essence on your elemental damage and fracture it. If you hit, you go for the other elemental damage, in this case it's fire, and you smack it on your item, and you preferably want the prefixes clean, like so you only have 2 prefixes. And then it's the same step as in the first craft. You go prefixes cannot be changed, and you go to your harvest bench and reforge critical, and you just pray. In this case it's T4, T3, we don't want this, we just go again. T6, well, unlucky. Unlucky again. If you hit oh, well, there's T1, but if you hit T2, you can maybe settle. And yeah, well, you're unlucky. You rolled another suffix, which is bad. You really don't want this. If you want to go safe, you can do another prefixes cannot be changed and annul, and hope you don't hit the crit multi, like in this case. But in general, it's probably just better to pray and hit. Okay, there we go. We saved the item. Now it's done. Now you just go multi-mod again. Can have up to 3 crafted crafted modifiers. You go spell damage, which I don't know why, but Craft of Exile doesn't allow it. But you can definitely craft on the spell damage. And you go into crit chance with strength and intelligence. And it's suffix again. Damn. Alright, there we go. At this point, the craft is done. I showed before that you can craft on the spell damage. I don't know why Craft of Exile doesn't allow me to craft on the spell damage, but I've showed before that you can with an item in PoE, that you can definitely craft on the spell damage. Alright, this concludes the cheaper version of the crafts. Let's get on to the more expensive one. Alright, let's get into the craft. So the first steps are alt spamming one of the T1 flat elemental damages. And because the weighting is so low, it might take a long time, so for the sake of the video, I'm gonna craft it on here. Oh, that's T10. Oopsie. Alright. And your goal for this is to get the base is to fracture. So you X-slam. And we missed. We missed again. There we go. 4th time. So about average. Alright. You can fracture yourself. I like to fracture myself because if you get lucky, you save a lot of money. Or you can just buy the base with a T1 flat elemental damage on it. Just from trade, depending on the price of this base in your league. Alright, you fractured it on there. Great. That's awesome. Let's go and roll with Wrath Essences for T2/T1 other elemental damage, which can also take a while. Because you only have one prefix to roll, you can always smack some exalts on there in between. And let's say we got cold damage. T2, because T1 is just giga lucky, but that's why we craft ourselves always, because you can get lucky on your crafts, which will give you very good items for very cheap. Alright, now you got your prefixes done, basically. And if you watched the previous part, you know what's coming. Its prefix cannot be changed. And we're gonna go ahead and go to Harvest and crit Reforge as before in the cheaper version. T2 crit multi with clean suffixes. That's actually very good. T1 would have been better, of course, but T1 is only like, I think it's 35 to 38% crit multi if I remember correctly, or maybe 40, so it's like 6% crit multi in the end. It's not too big of a deal. You can always craft again later, but this is a very good base if you hit it like this. Then comes the most annoying part. You go prefixes cannot be changed, and then you need to Veiled Exalted Orb this item. And the suffixes you are looking for are double damage, chance to deal double damage, chance to deal double damage while focused, or you're looking for the crit chance with strength and int, because then you can craft on the crit multi or the double damage. This is the least favorite choice, but yeah. Let's see if we can block stuff. These are all speed mods, so it's probably best to just block one of the speed mods. They have a weight of 1000. It's 3. Does it get blocked if I craft attack speed on that? Just craft attack speed. Check the veiled modifiers. And yeah, it does block them. Not this one though. It blocks 3 mods though. 4 even. That's pretty good. Alright, so I can either block with attack speed. Wait, I didn't do the crafted version. Excuse me for the delay. Alright, it blocks all of this though. It blocks 4 mods, which is pretty good. The other option would be one of the damage over time multipliers over here, because they all have a weight of 1000 as well. And then you just have to go to your girl June and pray, basically. Alright, and there's double damage. Crit multi, while rare or unique is nearby, is also a very good mod. You basically always have this up while mapping, while bossing. Let's go again, see what happens if we hit something good again. And there's double damage again. So yeah, the chance to hit something decent, something that you need, there's a crit multi, is fairly high. So if you get to this step and you block attack speed, there's crit chance in strength. So yeah, I got something every time that I need. Crit chance right there. Oh, this is a boss. Oh no, there's double damage by focus. So yeah, the chance to get something decent is fairly high at this point. So when you get your prefixes done with the crit multi, the craft is basically done. The only thing you have to get lucky at is at this step. It has to remove the prefixes cannot be changed, or the suffixes are fucked and you have to go again. But because you have the fracture, it's not that bad to go again from here. You lose 2 div per prefixes cannot be changed, but the chance to hit is pretty high. Like, it's a 50-50, you know. Like everything in PoE, either it happens, either it doesn't. And yeah, this is for the very good endgame version. Let's just put double damage back on, and then you can craft multiplier. You can even craft the crit multi while a rare or unique is nearby, which is a better roll than the normal crit multi. All right, and that's the done version of the stuff. I have crit chance strength int on mine, and I crafted double damage on because my veiled X was a bit unlucky, but you know, it is PoE. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video and you learned a lot from it. If you have any more questions, just ask in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.